ebb and flow.
Flow.
You gonna wear the headphones the whole time?
I mean, I can.
No.
I mean, I can hear you guys super clear right now.
How about now?
God damn you.
Chicken mouth.
You want to hear the most annoying sound in the world?
No.
What movie? I know you know.
I didn't know all three of you were going to do it.
Well, I mean, when in Rome.
So Mark's gonna be messing with the audio for the episode. It's gonna be super loud. Like, what happened? He's like,
He's gonna know where we start. That's
his
for
ears
my-
are fucked up.
Oh, shit. Clink, clank.
Clink,
clank.
Clink, clink,
clink,
clink, clink,
I can't
clank.
reach Mark.
Hello and welcome to Strange Happy Hour, the weekly tech and video game news podcast here on the Strange Gaming Network. I am one of your hosts, alongside to my left.
The dispatcher, Mark Plover.
You got it right this time. To my far right,
John Pettit, handsome
and
John.
you may notice we have another guest here. What's your name?
Michael. Tumbleweed Kepley. Ow!
That's really good. That's the most energy I've seen at this table all night.
Not bad, actually. Like,
Don't worry, it's going downhill from here. In case you were wondering why Kepley's here, we talked, I don't think we talked at all actually last week. We are going to do a pre-E3 prediction show, and that's only more fun when you have more people. So,
And also when it's considered Leak Week.
yes, and Leak Week is here
kidding.
amongst us. But before we get to all of that, we of course need to talk about the news of the week, which would be the important Mark, we're going to have you start it off first because yours is the only topic that does not involve video games.
Nerd alert.
Because, you know, right in front of E3 sits WWDC,
Yeah.
the
Dub
Apple
dub.
Worldwide Developer Console. Console.
Apple's in the video game news. Out here
You heard it
first.
first.
Well, they did announce that whole.
We're gonna take the arcade
iPod
games and put them in
Touch,
console form.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, decent lineup of things. iOS 13 right around the corner, coming out with full dark mode across the entire iOS platform. You know, they're taking notes after Google, who's slowly been
say.
rolling out from app to app to app to whatever, you know.
I was going to say that thing that Samsung has in their OS right now for all the Galaxy
the
phones.
thing
yeah.
that, you know, my OnePlus has had since, you know, like the OnePlus 3.
Yeah. Great for iPhone owners, though.
No, good for iPhone owners. You know, next software update, of course. The big thing takeaway is pretty much dark mode at this point. Probably the biggest announcement
He loves it.
was the Mac Pro.
Yeah.
Everyone's been waiting for a refresh of the Mac Pro, and this one's completely different.
AKA the cheese grater.
Yeah, it's still a cheese grater. Actually, I'm sorry, it's not completely different. It's still a cheese grater. It still has handles too. Okay, I'm wrong.
So we have something in common.
No, but so the big one regarding the Mac Pro is modularity. It seems like parts are replaceable, but the big piece is that it's, I guess, the aluminum frame mixed with everything else. It's just completely unlike Apple to show internal components and allow you to see that and go for the upgradability like this. This is unprecedented performance anyway so far that they're offering with Macs. So you're talking like up to a 28 core 56 thread processor, up to 1.5 terabytes of RAM, and up to 4 terabytes of storage on their T2 encryption chip.
Yeah.
Like, awesome security, awesome performance. And then to match comes with the XHD monitor, which is like an ultra-wide 4K with HDR support.
And what's the price?
A lot. Like over $1,000 a lot. Like,
Yeah.
Well,
I'm sorry, the combo was...
to be exact, the new Mac Pro is $6,000,
Oh,
starting
right.
at $6,000.
I missed that point,
And
yeah.
then the new monitor, the base one with the LCD screen is it's $5,000. If you want to get, I forget the new display, the better display, you pay $1,000 extra, so you make it
That's what I'm
$6,000 for
thinking
the
of.
better display. And then also the stand does not come with the monitor, and that is an extra $1,000.
Does it drive me to work?
No,
Yeah, because I'm now paying for a
but
car.
It is a car.
it does.
But you could write the software on it to drive you to work.
Also,
go.
actually, it comes with the option to put wheels on it.
So-
So kick, like
Yeah.
Fred Flintstone car. Yeah.
That's what I want to do with my $6,000 computer. Kick.
Seriously.
Well, not only that, but it's like, is that the monitor is worth almost as much as the computer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do think that it's worth noting that like the price is very high but when you look at it for what it's made for, the price is very competitive because it's a workstation, not like a personal computer, which is where the big modularity comes in. The monitor, while for us, a common consumer monitor, we're used to coming with the stand, a lot of those very high-grade displays like that don't come with stands anyway. They're not $1,000, I don't believe, but like you still would just go in, you would just buy the monitor and you'd go put it on your Visa stand that you normally use anyway.
Yeah.
So
what I do find interesting here is that you're talking about the modularity, but I mean, this is all still using Apple's components. So you can't necessarily mod it yourself to upgrade. And
So you kind of can as long as you're within the same specs of motherboard and whatnot, because like it actually gives you a replaceable processor. It gives you the ability to swap in RAM or out RAM.
okay, well, which they've done for a
It
while
also
now.
gives you expansion card slots for PCI Express, which we haven't seen since, I'm going to say the original Macintosh?
Yeah, okay.
Or no, what was it? The Apple II.
So it is adding some level of customization outside of the typical, because I mean, a majority of the time you get a MacBook Pro or whatever, you can change the hard drive and you can change the, add RAM to it. That's about it.
Yep.
So that's interesting, especially because it's outside of just Apple's specs, because if it's only what they're providing you, that price is going up even further.
Yep. Well, and so the interesting piece about this with the expansion modularity now too is if they enable some sort of, or if they just allow for general PCI Express standards to come in, NVIDIA can actually step back on the market on the Apple space.
Nice.
Because one of the comments we had talked about earlier was that NVIDIA actually is sort of stepping out of the space from a driver perspective, because right now the only people who can use them are Hackintosh users.
Yeah.
So they were supporting those because there were actually a decent number of them, but they've stepped out of the space because there's just not enough of them anymore, and people are just spending the money to buy Macs, or literally selling their firstborn child to buy a Mac was what really is happening. But now
They were
anyway,
only worth that
if the modularity is going to be there from a developer or from a content creator perspective, quadros are going to make sense, which means that drivers are going to make sense.
Yeah.
So you might see a resurgence of drivers in the Mac space.
I mean, I think we should have more drivers on the road at all times.
No.
no.
Yeah.
No, sorry.
Literally
okay.
no.
Wrong way. Wrong way. Got it. Well, speaking of being out and about, it seems there's a lot of Pokemon news.
What?
Talk to us, Tumbleweed.
My man. So a lot of great Pokemon news came out this past little direct thing. It was like a Pokemon Direct, I think is what they called it.
It was a Pokemon-specific conference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So got some cool things. So there's a Pokemon Home little feature that's coming out, which is super useful, and I think this is a great direction for Pokemon games. Essentially, for all the Pokemon players out there, you have all your Pokemon, you go put them into the bank, and then you can like store more of them or whatever. So now you're going to store this on a bank that's essentially in a cloud server.
Yes.
And then you're going to be able to pull this to all the Let's Go games, Let's Go Eevee, Pikachu, and then as well as the Pokemon Go. That's in the phone, and then coming out later, Sword and Shield, also going to be able to pull them down to that. So in terms of like trading with yourself, super efficient.
So I want to talk on this for a second, because this is amazing. So the closest thing they've come to this point has been the Pokemon Bank, which is on 3DS only.
Yes.
There's a transfer app that you can use to take your DS games and put them into the Pokemon Bank, which is super dumb. And then the Pokemon Bank, it's tied to an account that you have to have a subscription to. And if the subscription lapses, you lose everything. It's also tied to your handheld specifically.
Yep.
Super dumb. So this sounds incredible as a replacement.
Yeah.
However, right now in Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, you cannot transfer Pokemon back to Pokemon Go. It can only go one way.
Oh.
So with that stipulation already in place, Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee and Pokemon Go have way higher shiny rates for Pokemon. If you don't know what shiny Pokemon is, it's a different color alteration, incredibly rare in the game. They're like 1 in 6,000.
And somehow they find like 5 of them every time they go out Pokemon.
So Pokemon Go, they're like 1 in 400, and then
okay.
Let's Go, you can lower the rate
That's
to
right.
like 1 in 10.
Yep.
So all those mechanics in place, I have no doubt that the Pokemon Company will not allow the cross training that they have loosely described in this event.
Yeah. I definitely think there'll be restrictions on it, but if it's not,
Oh,
super
I agree.
convenient.
Even if it's not, like the ability for me to go, hey, I'm talking to Sean at work, and he's like, oh, I just caught this last night. I'm like, I didn't bring my Switch. Hey, let's trade. Boom, done. Like,
Yep.
that's incredible.
Yeah.
Yep. And that's expected to come around early 2020 range. And then also for people like Brent who have 2 phones and play Pokemon Go all the time, have you also wanted to play Pokemon in your sleep?
I do already.
No.
Because now it's an option,
I
baby.
like sleep.
So you got Pokemon Sleep. They're coming out with a new little device. They have a Pokemon Go Plus now, which says the little
It's
Pokeball.
It's Pokemon Go. Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we're getting there. We're
Yeah, I'm
building
sorry.
up.
I'm
So
sorry.
they have the current
I'm
device,
excited.
Pokemon Go Plus. The new device, revolutionary name, Pokemon Go Plus Plus.
Did you see how they spelled it?
Yeah, plus spelled out and then the plus sign.
Yeah, and then the plus sign next to it. I was like,
Yeah.
what is wrong?
So
What
this
the-
this brand new innovative name
think of anything
device. It comes down. It uses an embedded accelerometer. I think is how you say
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
So essentially, like when you're sleeping, it's gonna like read your sleeping patterns, and you're gonna be able to do Pokemon things in your sleep.
So you're supposed to put it
Wow.
on your pillow while you're sleeping.
Yep.
That's gonna literally cause every child to have cancer before the 13th.
It's amazing. Totally worth it for the shinies. That's
Yeah.
coming out in 2020 to mobile devices.
Yeah.
To be fair, if that's the case, I should have had cancer 13 years ago.
Yeah, we probably. There's a reason why they were.
He does.
The other thing is, I think it's mainly a mobile
Wow.
game. We're getting Pokemon Masters, which is essentially like a new mobile experience on battling. They're going to bring back a bunch of famous trainers throughout the series, so you can like meet up with these trainers and fight them. And I would imagine, I dream for PvP action, but who knows? They didn't really specify on that, but that is actually for this year, 2019, and we're supposed to get details this month in June. So probably the next Nintendo Direct.
No, because the next one's tomorrow, and it's Sword and Shield specific,
Yeah,
baby.
Well, E3, I'm looking at you.
Oh
You know
yeah,
what I'm saying?
well, I mean,
Well,
I would
we'll get
hope
there.
not, but probably.
So then we got Detective Pikachu, which we just had the movie, the old game. I think it was on the 3DS.
still haven't seen it.
Ended with a large cliffhanger that people have wanted answered for a very long time. Good news, that will be answered, baby.
Yep.
It's coming out. I didn't put a date on it. I forgot to put that down.
They didn't put a date on it.
And
That's why.
then
It's coming to Switch.
for me personally, this is one of the most hype things for me.
Oh,
Pokemon shirts,
You,
baby.
you and me, baby.
Yeah, they're
on
gonna
the
have
show
they got
with
a
'em.
service that's gonna be on. It's in Japan, I think, right now, and it's
Yes.
gonna expand to the U.S. and I believe it's at Canada or maybe Europe.
Wait,
Yeah, it'll do North America entirely, and then eventually Europe.
Are those the shirts you were showing me the other day?
Yes. So
Yeah.
Oh, those
these
look so good.
These shirts are you can customize however you want. You can do long sleeve, short sleeve. They're all button up shirts.
Ooh, nice.
And they have a print for every single one of the original 151.
Yep.
Yes.
And each print's different. You can do an entire colored shirt with just a print pocket. You
Did
can do
ya-
the print with a color pocket.
Did
No
you happen to
pocket.
touch on the price of them though?
So right now, that's the tricky thing. Is like if you order them now, like you're saying, they're only in Japan.
Yeah.
If you order them now, it's $100.
Yep.
Not including shipping and taxes. So it's about $135.
I actually think I linked you the Japan store a while ago.
Yeah.
You better hurry
Button-ups.
because Trump's closing those doors too.
When they come to the U.S., I think it's great
Yeah.
potential, and I will own a good majority of them. There's a lot. I have a very soft spot for the original 151.
oh,
Pokemon.
me too. Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
You
yeah.
better believe that there
Yeah.
will be at least 3 shirts in Brent's closet.
Yeah, I would
Not
say I'm
4?
probably gonna get one.
At least 3. I wonder if anybody can guess them. One's
Eevee.
Eevee's in there, yeah. Of course.
Do you include the Eevee Evolution? So you're a fan of those too?
Of course I am. Yeah, that's why
Yeah, well,
I
then
love
that's
Eevee.
4 shirts.
I'm not gonna get all the evolutions. I'm sorry. Vaporeon and Flareon, not great.
Yeah, yeah. Jolteon,
Jolteon's gonna be
Jolteon's
one.
awesome.
I'm just gonna-
Kangaskhan.
No, that was really interesting. Guess no.
You seem like an executive.
He always talked
fan.
about how he always never like he wanted the
You might
Kangaskhan.
like
and
him
just
on Leaf.
eluded him. And
I actually just recently caught a Kangaskhan in my Leaf Green run, but we don't need to talk about that right now.
Snorlax?
Boom, there it is.
Yeah.
Oh,
Snorlax,
I was like,
baby.
I thought it was gonna be Snorlax, but I'm like, it
I
might
say
be
he's got a
something.
wallpaper with
more
Snorlax. He
absurd.
wanted Snorlax for Halloween one
Yeah,
year.
I know. He loves Snorlax.
My spirit animal.
But again, he always talks about that other Pokemon, and I'm like, I just expected something weird. I don't know
All
why.
this is
Brent.
all this is really exciting. I know a lot of people who are very happy for the Pokemon. What is it, Battlers or what are Pokemon
Masters.
Masters.
And obviously, that Detective Pikachu
sequel
is
is really good.
Probably be shown at E3. It's prime for it.
Yeah, it's good. And this is another. The Pokemon Masters is another DNA Nintendo collaboration. So that was a game they were talking about for a while now. Speaking of surprise Japanese reveals, it turns out that we had a wonderfully long trailer to Death Stranding finally. So starting last week, I think Monday or it might have even been Saturday, Hideo Kojima started teasing out various gifs that were very confusing about Death Stranding. 24 hours before the reveal, PlayStation had on their Twitch stream for actually it was only like 18 hours, a bunch of black with like handprints in it, and there's images underneath.
Dude, it had to be Friday because I was getting nonstop like
The
refreshes on these.
Yeah.
the
people-
tease was for sure.
People
yeah.
were piecing together the handprints
Yeah.
to like try to build the picture.
Super cool. And then finally the reveal happened, I believe, last Wednesday. It is nearly a 9-minute trailer. It is probably the best example I've seen recently of creating a game trailer that answers questions while also leaving people in the dark.
Yes, he
And-
is a master at that.
Oh my God, it's so good. If you haven't watched it, we will have a clip, link, not a clip, somewhere
It's a long clip.
in the
Will we?
description. probably above us. It floats in the
low.
ether, much like our remembrance of putting things in the description. But it's incredible. This game looks phenomenal. We got to see more insight into various characters, including Troy Baker's character. Some more actual gameplay, which it showcases open world sequences with Sam, the main protagonist, where he pulls out a ladder out of nowhere and is able to climb on stuff. Pulls out
It's
a
just like,
Yep.
I think it's a very cool mechanic.
So
yeah, it's crazy.
a lot of people are speculating that this means that there's a lot of open-ended exploration.
Yeah.
Like because there wasn't a checkpoint or something that he was like, oh, I'm just going to hit a ladder right here. He just goes into a wheel, pulls out the ladder, and it leans against whatever's in front of him.
And the UI didn't look that intense.
No,
Like,
not
it
at
wasn't
all.
like you were following a map or anything.
Yeah.
either.
Well, I thought the physics with the ladder were actually kind of cool. If you could just position it wherever you wanted, essentially, it would just fall to something.
Yeah.
And the same with this. He has a rope on a spike. He was on an edge.
Yeah.
He just hammers the spike down, tosses the rope over, and then you go down. So if they have that kind of open-ended exploration that reminds me a little bit of Breath of the Wild, that's going to be so cool.
Yeah.
That's going to be real good. They showed a
It's
little
gonna
bit.
feel good.
Yeah. They showed a little bit of combat, but it turns out that the Japanese got a separate trailer, and in there it showcases a boss fight, like legitimate combat.
Oh, I didn't
I
even see
missed that.
that.
I knew
Yeah, I
you guys
didn't see
watched
that.
it, but I missed
Yeah,
it. Like,
it's only like 20 seconds,
failed
30
me.
seconds. It is a third-person action game for sure. Hideo has said repeatedly, this is not a stealth game. Do not mistake this for Metal Gear Solid because it is not.
Yeah, like, and we were talking the whole time. It looked like it was going to be a stealth game. Everything they were doing looked like you were
Yeah.
just trying to avoid. You were trying not to. Be
I was
too
actually kind of excited
confrontational.
for that, and then I saw, like the trailer or whatever, him getting attacked. I was like,
Just using his
That's
briefcase,
terrifying.
and beating the crap out of somebody. I was like,
I wouldn't
okay.
be surprised if they do it in like a Metal Gear 3 Snake Eater type of way, to where you have a lot of action that you can do, but then there's also elements you can't just sneak through.
I think it's just going to be less of where Metal Gear has gone, which is really 5 at this moment, where there's a ton of options to lend to your stealthness. I think there's definitely a mechanic where you're trying to hide. Like, that's very apparent from the gameplay and the trailers we've seen. I just don't think this is going to lean hard into like the espionage. Like,
Yeah.
you're a stealth guy. You can try and sneak around these guys. Oh, yeah, like because Zelda Breath of the Wild is the same way. Like, you come across a group of enemies, you can hide and kind of hunker down and
Yeah.
maneuver around, or you can go in swinging.
Yeah.
So, similar
Which
aspects
is
of
what
it.
I do because I'm
Did you
impatient.
pre-order the collector's edition?
So I thought long and hard about it.
Really, you did.
nice.
I did not.
Wow.
This year I'm trying to buy a home, so I have to pull back in certain areas.
I did think it would be that.
Yeah, I know.
right.
That was one. But I'll get the Steelbook. Makes me excited. Let us know what your thoughts are on Death Stranding because it's super interesting.
You're
to
not a
all of
Kojima
us.
fan, is what I'm saying.
You can go, besides, the baby didn't look as cool as I thought it would.
Yeah.
It looks like
You want it.
a deformed. Of course I want it.
He's in denial right now. It doesn't look that cool. Please cancel your
It looks
pre-order if I do.
terrible.
He's about to cry. Baby, house.
Speaking of mixed results from PlayStation, let's talk about the PS Plus games for June.
PS Plus games are actually pretty surprising. It's actually the first time I've seen PS Plus in a long time actually give us something worth a damn, really.
Yeah.
We got Sonic Mania, which came out in August of 2017.
Yep.
Which is actually a pretty recent game. Pretty good for worth. Also, Borderlands Intensive Jack Collection came out in 2015, but
Yeah. still
a really good preamble to Borderlands 3 coming out.
Yeah, I was gonna say that the best timing to come out with that. Like,
Oh yeah,
Oh,
and,
100%,
and
yeah.
it's if you're not a Borderlands fan, this could potentially get more sales. So I totally see where they're going with this.
Yeah.
And it's honestly it's a game that everybody should have played.
Well, I also think it's great because the one thing that Plus does really well, and Games of the Gold's the same way, is when they put these games out there that have network connectivity where you can play with other people, it opens up a swath of players to like, hey, I never got to play this with my friend.
Yeah.
We can play now because now we don't have to spend the money on it. It's already in the service that we pay for every year.
And this world is open to them now, and they're like, oh wow, Threes is coming
Yeah.
out right around the corner. I'm gonna really enjoy this game.
I know you said 3 is, but it sounded like you said threesis. So I'm just thinking of like
Threesis.
a triple Jesus. Threesis.
wow,
New
A
boss.
3-headed Jesus.
hard left.
This got weird.
But the Sonic Mania I thought was interesting, especially considering all the backlash we got from the movie. So I definitely feel like they were lining this up right. Like, that trailer's gonna be revealed. This will be perfect. Yeah. Everyone's like,
Don't
"This
hate
trailer's
Sonic.
terrible."
Remember how much you love it?
Oh shit, man! Well, we already gave him Mania. Hopefully, they're okay with it.
Well, not only that, but it brings you back too, because like I played that Sonic when I was a kid on PC for the first time, and the music I remember actually more than the gameplay itself, and it was just a super cool experience to see that coming back.
Well, and especially because the beginnings of Sonic Mania came from a fan project. And so they basically hired those people on and turned it into a full game, which is totally dope. And now you can play it on your PS4 for free. But this is not the only news of the week. However, this is what we deem the important shit. You may have noticed that the important shit was a little short this week because we only did one per person. That's because it is time to discuss E3 and our own predictions. We're going to do a round robin here at the table. We're going to go one per round for a total of 3 rounds. And then afterwards, if we have a little bit of extra time, we're going to do some like throw out theirs.
Are we going to care if we're right or not?
I mean, we could definitely mark it and figure that out. Yeah. I am going to go ahead and start because I want to come out of the gates swinging.
Okay.
I believe I'm going to start with Xbox.
So we will win.
Ooh.
I believe we will win. I believe that Microsoft is going to lean incredibly hard into Project X Cloud. Explanation, release date, pricing, and the announcement that it's going to be available on any platform that will allow it. So Switch, mobile, PC, Mac, everything except for PlayStation at this point.
Really?
I believe 100%.
Even with the Sony partnership?
I think so.
I'm gonna go a step farther
I
than
hate you so much right now.
I want
You
to
son
piggyback
of
off it, and they're gonna include it with Sony, and they're gonna and I'm on this camp, and me and John discussed this, and we discussed it at dinner.
I'm excited for this because I have a new news article I don't think either of you saw.
We
I hate
discussed this. I think that Sony will have a presence at E3 in the form of the Microsoft conference. One representative will come out and they'll talk about their merger.
Look at that smug ass face.
This is really interesting because a news article dropped today that confirmed that the PlayStation team was not at all talked about whatsoever before the partnership with Microsoft was made, which means that no representative has any idea or clue as what they're doing. So there's a possibility that maybe the CEO of Sony comes out, but I definitely don't think a representative of PlayStation will be there.
That is exactly what I wrote. Phil Spencer will take the stage with Sean Layden and talk about what to expect with their partnership.
With Sean Layden, no, because he's PlayStation, he's not Sony. So he is Sony, Sony. But I don't think like the whole point of that article was they weren't told at all.
Now they are put in the
And
loop,
they've
and now
had
there
plenty
is
of time to be
definitely
like,
action
I don't know,
being taken, man.
I think
The
you
question
guys
is
are.
how in the loop
Hey
are
man,
they,
you
though?
wanted to go big. I just wanted to take it one step further. I
I'm
knew
with
where
you.
you were
At
going
this
with
point,
this.
they've only had a couple of weeks to talk about it.
Yeah,
So, like,
that's all
are
you
they
need.
really that in the loop
That's
on it?
kind of
We're
my
gonna
point.
figure out exactly how in the loop because he should be. I mean, he's like kind of the figurehead of PlayStation right now.
Not only that, but Sony has made multiple mentions at this point, like since the Wired article with Mark Cerny about the PS5,
Yeah.
that they have a complete like program set up for not only backwards compatibility but remote play and being able to play your PlayStation games on the go. And I think they're going to lean really hard into that, which means that they're going to shy away from Microsoft's for the time being. Not that it won't happen it kind of reminds me of the EA Play situation where EA Play came out and Sony was like, no, we don't want that program on our platform. And now this year it's coming on there. I think it's going to be very similar.
Yeah, I definitely. I mean, they are the more cautious when it comes to stuff like that, and that's why it being released the way it was a little weird.
Yeah.
In the first place. So I'm going to stick with both. I
Okay,
think that they're
I'm with
really
you.
going head on, and because Xbox is going super software, and PlayStation just wants people to play on their console, and they're really heavy into that. We'll see what
My
happens.
nipples are hard right now.
Oh, they should be, because I just laid something out that was pretty sexy.
Oh God.
I think I'm going to move over to the left here and we'll just do this clockwise rotation. Talk to us, dispatcher.
Well, so you had already gone with my my sort of prediction of the X Cloud. We'd definitely see the X Cloud, of course. That seems like a pretty basic one. Well, so the other end of that, of course, the competitor is going to be Stadia.
Yeah.
So I think this Stadia is going to have a beta.
Oh.
Playable. Because think about it. Stadia is going to be available later this year.
Okay.
It would behoove them at the biggest electronic, entertainment
Conference.
to be able to have a playable beta within a couple of months before the release.
Interesting. Okay. I like it.
I think they're going to have one which may open doors to like an open beta, for example, or even a closed beta like they did with Project Stream.
Okay. I like it. To preface the audience real quickly, we are recording this on Tuesday, June 4th. So that is before the actual Stadia conference on Thursday. Okay.
Yeah.
We're good. Do you think they're going to do this as like sign up, it's open, pre-order for our service, you get access? Like, how do you see it?
I think it's going to be more of a sign. Knowing Google, it'll be more of a sign up than will be a pre-order.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just because I like, first off, it's going to be a monthly subscription thing, or that's what we all assume at this point anyway. I see them just going with this is a closed beta. If you're at E3, you may get special access to sign up for it.
Okay.
But other than that, I think they're just going to start opening it up like they did with Project Stream, where you sign up for it and within a few months, maybe you get access to it because allocations show up, that kind of thing.
I'm not against it.
I totally see this happening, and I totally see them pulling this out with Ubisoft coming on stage and doing something like we talked about earlier with Beyond Good and Evil.
Yeah, okay.
So I'm going to jump in on that because I don't think they do it with Beyond Good and Evil.
No?
I think that this is the return of Splinter Cell, and they give us another Splinter Cell title with Stadia, and they open up the beta because Splinter Cell has been absent for a long time. All you have to do is do a big recreation. You can do Chaos Theory, Double Agent, any one of these games. You could do it with a new one, but Splinter Cell has like a cult following, but it's not like, I wouldn't call it huge and mainstream.
Yeah.
So
Splinter Cell, everyone knows the name of
Splinter Cell would be the
to.
perfect title to launch, like alongside going off of Mark. Hey, we're gonna have Project Stadia. You can sign up for a beta. If you do it this time, you get Splinter Cell for free because they're not gonna give up Beyond Good and Evil for free.
No,
Yeah,
they're not going to give it up for
that.
free, but we definitely, when they talked about Beyond Good and Evil, about what they were doing with the world and it being a giant revolving like advertising like system, and you could do a bunch of creative stuff, like I just feel like it's a perfect platform for that.
I think that Beyond Good and Evil definitely, when it's talked about, is mentioned with, hey, this is going to be Stadia enabled for the expansion.
Yeah.
But I think that their big push I think this is the Ubisoft conference I'm talking about. Ubisoft says, hey, here's Splinter Cell. We're going to be partnering with Stadia for a demo. Go sign up.
And I love the idea because we haven't seen the Splinter Cell since Blacklist in 2013.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah,
it's been
so
a
I mean,
hot
it's
minute.
definitely time for Ubisoft to put it out. And on top of that, we had that whole foobar with the Twitterverse.
Yeah,
And I forget his name.
Oh man, this is just a joke. I got drunk and
I didn't mean to
announced
say
a new
anything about
Splinter Cell
Splinter
game.
Cell.
You're so full of it.
Okay, well, that was the obvious part, but yeah, that would be awesome if they came out.
Are they
on
publicly
Stadia.
traded?
Yeah, I think so. Aren't they? Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Well, I mean, they tried to they almost got taken over by.
So yes, they are. Yes.
Tencent.
What I do, it wasn't Tencent. It was somebody else. It was.
Oh, you're right. What's that other giant
Doesn't matter.
freaking conglomerate?
Doesn't matter. What I do find interesting is that I would go a different direction. Not that they wouldn't give a new game away, but I think they're going to try and showcase that their Stadia is capable with multiplayer online games. And in that regard, I think it would totally be. Oh my God, what is their competitive online game right now? It's like the biggest
Rainbow
one.
Six.
Thank you, Rainbow Six.
Siege,
Siege,
yeah.
100%. Just giving away
That would make
Siege.
that would make sense. I
Yeah.
mean, especially with as popular as it is anyway, like going to the game that you
Yep.
already know and going with something in the competitive scene to showcase that.
And you know they're going to showcase something new there for that game, so that would be a good pick as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just to piggyback off that as well.
Oh yeah, man. There's gonna be a lot of piggybacking. There's a lot of ideas going around, and we all have like that's the thing.
There's
like,
a lot of piggybacking, yeah.
Oh
Got it.
man,
Yeah.
I love bear piggybacking. Bear piggybacking.
Yeah, whoa.
Bear hugs with
Could you
piggybacking.
kindly tell us your prediction instead of your sexual fantasies? That'd be wonderful.
Oh, you want one of mine? How about
just did it, right?
let's go with well, I was gonna talk about Watch Dogs, but that got leaked. So Watch Dogs 3 is in.
You can still
London.
talk about
Oh,
Watch
yeah.
Dogs. What do you expect from it?
Well, I mean, Watch Dogs was released back in November 2016 for Watch Dogs 2, so it's definitely time for it to come out. So, it is
So
what it is.
fill me in because I played the first one.
Okay.
I did not play the second one.
So the first one is like super like I'm a vigilante.
No.
I'm
So I
He's a
played the first
little
one.
harder
I
character.
get that, but like, was the second one? I like.
Took place
Was
in-
it just as
Imagine-
ill received as the first?
No.
one was? Okay.
So the second one takes place in San Francisco, rather than being
Interesting.
like I'm here to avenge my niece, which was the weirdest like story.
I enjoyed it. I like the dark aspect of it because
I
it was a
don't-
place that people are afraid to go.
I don't mind the dark aspect. It's just that from what I saw, it didn't seem to go far enough to really justify it.
It
And
wasn't
two,
Mad Max dark.
it's like
Or not
my
Mad Max,
niece, not my
Max
daughter, not like a surrogate of like it's my niece. Just weird. Anyways,
Well, I mean, you can be. I'm close with my niece.
I only got
Don't
that
be
because
weird
the
about
family.
I'm close with none of my family. That's
That's-
why it bothers
That's
me.
true. He's a
Two
sociopath.
is San Fran. You're a goofy freaking hacker dude who is
Yeah.
part of a hacker group.
Oh, so you're
It
not
is-
even-
It is
It's Brent.
it is totally like fun in the sun. Like they're sneaking into movie studios to steal movie scripts. You can play the entire game without firing a gun once.
That's
like
awesome.
it's all built around the hacking ability.
Okay.
I played a little bit of it, and I plan on trying to like pick it up a little bit, probably at your place
Probably,
while I'm
yeah.
walking the dog.
Yeah.
But it is a cool little like.
That's not a
Huh,
euphemism.
this is fun.
Okay.
I enjoyed it. So
All right. So I'll have to pick up 2 anyway, and I'll
Yeah.
I'll look forward to 3 then.
yeah, it seems like it's gonna be really cool. walking the dog. It appears that they're going to include a new ambitious system, so ambitious that it's delayed the game already a couple times, in which you can recruit NPCs, and then once you recruit them, you can play as any NPC that is part of your legion.
That'd be cool.
So that's kind of cool.
Now, would it be specific NPCs, or have they touched on that, or would it
So
be
they're
just
saying
like
every NPC has a specific set of animations and all, like really drawn out into how you would operate around normal characters. So
Really?
we'll see what they show.
It's my turn to be negative Nancy. They're going to pitch it as any NPC. It's going to be selected.
100%.
NPCs.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I was gonna say,
entirely.
like, can I walk down the street and be like, "You want to see hacking, dude?" and just like have some dude follow me or whatever, like, and that'd be it. Like,
So because that was taken from me, I'm just gonna say that I want them to give a release date for Metroid Prime 4. It's not gonna happen. It's the longest shot possible.
Nintendo, all right.
I think you'll get a release year, not a date.
When we swing back to me, we'll talk.
Okay.
I'm excited.
So mine,
Go ahead, buddy.
I'm gonna go ahead and open the door for the Nintendo camp.
Ooh, yeah. See, I'm ready.
So I'm opening the door with something that was a huge favorite of mine as a kid growing up,
Okay.
and they had big success with Mario Tennis.
All right.
I think they're gonna bring back Mario Golf.
Ooh, on the Switch.
Wow.
With the motion.
Yep.
I'm about it.
Yeah.
I am
Mario
about
Golf
it.
has been
100%.
missing. Tennis
They've
was
already got tennis.
so well received.
Yeah.
I think it's a little too soon for Mario Kart. I think we get a Mario, and I think Mario Golf is the perfect thing for you to bring back.
Yeah.
I agree with that because the last Mario Golf was on the 3DS, and that was like right around launch.
Dude,
So,
that's a touchdown.
yeah. I don't know if I'd call that a touchdown, but
No, it's a touchdown.
that's a good solid production. Piggybacking off of the, I'm gonna stop using that word. Playing off of
man, bear piggybacking.
playing off the Nintendo aspect
Hamburger.
and the Prime aspect. I know Nintendo has announced that we have the Link's Awakening remake coming. And a lot of people are speculating because Nintendo for years has done a game of a show where they talk about a specific game for a large quantity of their show, that would be it. And I think that's a whole pump fake. That game's coming out. It's going to be really exciting. They're going to do a whole direct about it, but it's a complete remake. It's not Mario Odyssey. It's not Super Smash Bros. Ultimate.
Interesting.
It's something different. I think they're doing a pump fake, and we're going to get a show about Metroid Prime 4. And they're going to come out swinging, showing gameplay, talking about everything they've done, what Retro's done since they've done it, and like you said, release date.
Didn't that game get
Do you think you'll
scrapped
get a
and have
date
to
or
be
just a
remade?
year?
Technically, yes.
So I think if it's being remade, I think I'm with John. I think we only get a year.
We'll see.
Well, the reason being is that they had so much issues, and I think that they're a little bit worried about giving to a hard date right now.
So looking at the direct that was for Breath of the Wild, they gave that direct nearly a year before the game came out. So it was the previous June, and that game launched in March.
Yeah.
I could see a similar scenario.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So do it, Nintendo. I'm ready.
All right, it's not my turn.
All right, so
I'll be there.
gaming wasn't the space I thought I would end up touching in, but
I'm excited.
having seen the rumors been out for a little while now, and you know the
He's
rumor
liking
mill
it, man. He
continuing.
wants that money.
Grand Theft Auto 6.
Ooh.
That's a lot of money.
So
Okay.
the rumor mill has been abuzz for the last couple of months since the beginning of the year,
Yep.
So close to Red Dead?
and it's well,
Red
so
Dead has been a failure right now.
So Red Dead and
Commercially, yeah.
Red Dead and Grand
but
Theft
time.
Auto have notoriously been swapped out, but they've notoriously had development in parallel over the course of a couple years. So the idea would be like because the last Grand Theft Auto release, I think it was Grand Theft Auto 4, wasn't that far after the first Red Dead.
They wouldn't need
We can.
Now
a whole. I mean, they're not worried about money. They got the money.
I
for
don't
it, so.
think
Yeah.
the release for Grand Theft Auto 6 will be anytime soon, but I think there might be a showcase for it, if nothing else, to say,
Interesting.
this is what we're working on. This is the release year or month for it.
Well, it is on the downturn right now because they're no longer high up on the MPD charts.
Yeah, unlike Grand Theft Auto 5, which stayed on that literally.
Forever.
Oh, Grand Theft
years.
Auto was the highest selling game or the
For multiple years.
Yeah, exactly.
For right now, I believe it is the high selling game of the stats that we know of all time.
Yeah.
Because Tetris is technically the highest, but no one really has all those sales figures.
Right.
Yeah.
But I do believe it topped Minecraft. So
Right.
that was that big deal.
I can't get into the Grand Theft Auto 6 hype train. I just think it's too soon. I think that they have too much that they're trying to focus to repair Red Dead right now. And Grand Theft Auto 5, they're still putting new stuff out for. If anything, I don't know what they would name it, but like with Grand Theft Auto 4, they did Ballad of Gay Tony, which was a huge hit for them.
Yeah.
I think we get a Grand Theft Auto 5 expansion.
Spin-off. Yeah.
But like,
the only-
I don't think we get Grand Theft Auto 6. It feels too soon.
The only reason I don't think we'll get another expansion is because we've
6,
already
7
had
years?
tons of expansions as it is.
Well,
because the expansions back then, because we really didn't have like a tremendous online system like Grand Theft Auto 5 does, and Grand Theft Auto 5 has had packs on packs on packs on packs on packs added at this point. And I think Grand Theft Auto 6 is the next smart play for them because they made a tremendous amount of money off of Grand Theft Auto 5. If they can continue to expand Grand Theft Auto 6 and even give like a little teaser for it, Grand Theft Auto 5 sales are immediately going to go back up again.
Well, and especially if your online carries over. Like, hey, you buy 6, everything you had in the online, we carry it over here.
I think Rockstar's too greedy to do that, and I think I should have Red Dead.
Fair
But
enough.
I think for
depends on
Grand
what they
Theft
do
Auto
with it.
6, the only way I'm going to get on that hype train is the only way I think Grand Theft Auto gets any better and has a vast improvement. I'm such a fanboy. Is if Grand Theft Auto joins the Stadia hype train and the cities are massive and super populated.
So I wanted to pitch that. I didn't think it was going to be like I didn't want to. I guess like throw everything out there up front. But I don't know. Like going with Stadia might not be a terrible idea too, because then people who really didn't have the performance to be able to run that kind of game, because it is a very intensive game.
Yeah.
Can do it on Stadia. And Stadia might be able to showcase this is the kind of performance we're getting anyway with a game this heavy. Or they might even start with 5 and say 6 will be coming to Stadia.
Yeah, I think there's so much. I'm such a looping train here. It's just like Stadia all the way. I want everything in Stadia. But when
Praise our Google overlords.
dude, I'm all in. Like it's one of those things where like the last prediction came out or the last little conference about it, and I was super skeptical. They sold me on it. It's like the 6. You're just like you're gonna tell me how much money I'm throwing at you, hopefully, and then we're just gonna go from there. Man.
I want to say that would be a smart move on their part, but it also seems a little ambitious. I mean, it has been what? I mean, you would know 6-7 years since
been
the
like
launch
6
of
7
5.
years, yeah.
6 years.
Okay, so I'm assuming it's run its course. Like I said, I haven't seen it on the PD charts.
I mean,
it's gone on a downturn.
I think
and
Grand Theft Auto
you were
4 ran
saying
for 10 years.
Red Dead isn't making them money, so
Well,
they're
but
going to
see,
need to
that's-
do something to make them money.
But see, that's why I think this is the smart play.
Yeah, I agree.
Rockstar
That's
right
why
now.
the only reason why I'm agreeing with you.
Rockstar has no other like major source of income coming in right now because
But that's
Red
the
Dead's
thing
just
is like they're
falling
not
off.
hurting
Is
on
Red Dead
income.
Online
horse.
not making them any money?
No, Red Dead Online is definitely making them money. It's
I
just
don't
like
think
the quality of the online isn't that
that
great right
big.
now. But their Grand Theft Auto 5
didn't
is
even hear my
still
joke, did you?
giving them
I missed
tons
it,
of
I'm
money.
sorry.
The player
I'm
base
trying
is
to look
still
something up real
huge.
quick.
So at that point, why would you want to, attack your own sales?
Yeah, I mean, that's why it's just hard for me to buy into that. I do think that Rockstar will make some kind of presence. I don't know at what conference though.
Well, I still
So-
see people playing
so
old games
here's-
nowadays. I don't see the people that like to play Grand Theft Auto 5 are going to continue to still play Grand Theft Auto 5.
So here's the hard part about that. They would have to piggyback off of somebody else's conference to do that.
I will also say that notoriously, Rockstar doesn't appear for reveals
Yeah.
at E3. So they have definitely appeared at E3, but it's almost always been after an initial reveal that they have of their own.
Right.
Well, Xbox has got a lot
Not
more
that it's
time,
impossible.
so
Yeah,
it's probably going to be along the lines of them stating their partnership, and that would make sense if someone came.
xCloud and all that.
Yeah.
So short of them going with, one of the cloud providers, my fear is that they would, well, I don't want to say fear. My fear against my own prediction would
Yeah.
be that they would want to go with Sony for Sony's conference.
Yeah, which is not happening this year.
Right. So it may wait, but
I think they went with Sony last time.
I think
I feel like with all of the announcements that have been, or unofficial announcements that have been coming out anyway, all the leaks that have been coming out, I think they'll want to make some sort of official announcement at this point instead of just letting the pot stir and letting everybody come up with false things.
Now, I will say on the Rockstar front, there have been rumors for a while that Red Dead Redemption 2 will come to PC finally. But the big thing with that is that it will come through the Epic Store. So
Make a lot of people happy.
Yeah.
So you're looking at that. So Grand Theft Auto could also be looking to move to the Epic Store, which would be, in my opinion, one of the worst moves they could do because one of their biggest communities is the modded community, which you lose going to the Epic Store.
Yeah.
So
Not necessarily.
you do. Epic doesn't support mods.
But
It would
no. But the modding community doesn't go through Steam. The modding community is all custom scripts and everything like that. I know, as somebody who did the police thing, it like most of it comes from custom scripts that literally we download.
Wait,
from
you're the one
forums.
that called the cops on me?
Yeah.
Finally figured it out. I do think this is an interesting prediction simply because,
Swap
like I
meet.
said, they typically don't appear for announcements, but there has
That's
been a
neat, though.
lot of churn. So
That's neat. I didn't know that.
Yeah. All like most of the mods for Grand Theft Auto come from third-party sources anyway, and like file managers that actually peer into the other files.
nice.
Yeah.
I like it. Hit us up there, Mr. Handsome John.
It's gonna be a soft follow up. I was gonna just throw it all in one from the last one, but Nintendo's definitely gonna give a release date for Link's Awakening.
Yeah.
It's coming. It's gonna be gameplay trailer, release date announced, and then I think we're gonna see them come in. By the way, Metro Prime 4 and your face.
Yeah, okay. Sorry. For whatever in my head, I was like Metro Exodus, and I'm like, wait, why is Metro Exodus going on a Switch? That's a weird one. Yes, I agree.
We didn't even talk about the most probable thing. Grand Theft Auto on your Switch. Let's go.
Oh, don't do
No.
that. Nintendo wouldn't allow Grand Theft Auto.
No, it's not that they won't allow it.
Why would
If
they?
it could
They're a
run
family
it, I'd be
console.
really
On
surprised.
the DS, they literally created a custom-made Grand Theft Auto game called Chinatown Wars that was ported over to PSP and to
I'm
remember
surprised
that,
they let that game on their console.
Nintendo's weird with their rules, is what it comes down to.
Yeah, you're
Because
right.
they literally one of their flagship franchise right now is Bayonetta. The woman gets half naked all the time.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. So I'm gonna.
They're okay with naked stuff though.
Yeah.
It's the violence that they're like, no, kids know what boobs are.
Boobs.
They just don't like guns and grenades.
So I'm going to jump to the person that's not been represented at this table yet, the Square Enix console. So my big prediction.
Console?
Or,
Yeah, he's
I was trying to let it go. I was trying to let it go.
You said it, I was like, no, I can't.
we've got two surprise consoles, Apple and Square Enix getting into it,
shit.
bro.
That's right.
Wow.
You heard it here first.
So the Square Enix conference, my big prediction was going to be the Avengers project. I've been on it every year since they first announced it. You know, just streaming. And then finally, I'm like, this is the year I'm going to predict it again, and maybe be wrong, but they confirmed it will be there. So in talking about that, just real quick, I want to say I think it's going to be some kind of action RPG. I think you're going to play a character that is trying to work alongside the Avengers.
Yep,
What
he's
is
selfish.
this? What is this?
He's greedy.
I'm
And
excited.
then-
Yeah, keep
but
going.
but my prediction, my bold prediction, because it's time. It's been 2 years. Someone else at this table has finally experienced it. Near Autonoma will get something else.
That's not exactly what I was going for, but I'm down with it. Yeah. All right.
He was like, "Don't you dare!"
Yeah,
It's-
I think Nier's coming, and obviously Final Fantasy VII, but whatever.
Yeah.
It's old news at this point.
Oh,
Take off my shirt.
If it was Final Fantasy VIII, I'd get in with the hype. Whatever.
Oh, the worst of the modern Final Fantasy?
yeah,
That's
pretty
fine.
much.
Oh yeah, well, 9.
I know that. I don't even
Oh,
play
you
them.
better believe it. Me, draw
But
magic. Oh, I got
I think
one.
Nier Automata either gets a new title or some kind of expansion to its
Jeez.
story. It's been 2 years. The game
Yeah.
was super well received.
Yeah, I agree.
And we haven't really heard anything about it, but I do think they'll expand it.
I think that's not a bad prediction, especially since it just moved over to Xbox.
Yep.
Like with all of the Game of the Year edition. I am currently playing it. It's way more interesting than I thought it was. Very rarely am I mad that I slept on a game. This is definitely one where I'm like, man, I should have played this when it first came out because
Well, we talked about it, but it was just like there was so much out at the time.
Yeah.
It was just I can't do it.
this would have been worth it.
It's worth it, man.
I'm going to piggyback off of another person at the table once again. I'm just hopping off piggies all over the place.
I just called you a piggy.
Speaking of the Square Enix conference, I think that we are going to get a couple of things. They're going to give day and date release for Final Fantasy VII. We're finally going to get that after
wow.
showcasing some more gameplay.
Even after they had all that trouble.
They're going to confirm that it is episodic, broken out into 2 parts, and part 1's going to be out.
They're gonna go episodic. with it.
I think they will. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm with this.
They've already just said oh, we're going to break it up in mobile games.
Oh, no.
So this is going to be 2 games. It's going to be 60-hour games apiece. They looking at the breadth of what they have, it's possible.
It's not necessary though.
Did you say 60 hours?
Yeah, man.
A piece
Took
for
me
Final Fantasy VII.
Took me 60 hours to beat. It is a game that can be beaten in 35 hours, so it's kind of funny that they're breaking it apart. But there's a lot of stuff they could go.
That's what I'm saying. How are they gonna pull that off?
There's so much depth. to
You
that
and I
game.
can have a discussion outside of this because there's a lot there. There's a lot of extraneous, extra content outside of the game itself. On
Yeah,
top
but then you're
of the,
forcing them to play
on-
that
No,
instead of finishing the game.
You're not forcing them.
no. Outside of the original game, there was books and movies and stuff
Okay.
that they're now adding into this game.
I thought you meant like SideQuest.
Yeah, no.
Final Fantasy VII movie.
Yeah, and then of course there's also the fact that a majority of games majority of games in general, more majority of writing stuff gets thrown out, but notoriously the old NES, SNES, and PS1 games had incredibly large scripts that were kind of cut down and moved around, and so they can definitely play with that space a
Yeah.
lot. There's a lot of cut content I think they could dive into.
Well, I mean, if never mind.
There's some cool stuff, so I think that's going to happen. I think we're going to get an announcement and a release date for Kingdom Hearts 3 DLC because that's got to
Talk
happen.
about greedy. Look at this greedy.
So I've got this all-encompassing Square Enix thing. And the big one,
I could have done that too. What is this nonsense?
The big one, announcement and trailer, Final Fantasy 16. That's my prediction.
That's pretty. I mean, that's definitely doable since 15. I mean, it's pretty much done.
They're taking up the time slot of Sony. I believe this conference is an hour long, not the half hour they had last year. Like, they have content, and I think that's part of it.
I don't think they're going to want to have something anywhere near close to be confrontational with 7. I think it's going to be an offshoot of a Final Fantasy you're going to see. I don't think you're going to see 16.
I'm not with you on 16. The reason is
16's gonna happen.
the reason is you've got Final Fantasy 7 coming. You want to draw a lot of attention to your new expansion Shadowbringers for the MMO. That is still coming out. You're going to definitely show that off a lot.
Yeah, but
talk more about it.
That's not going to draw away from, like, the MMO never draws away from the core franchise.
I don't disagree, but like at that point, you're using 16. You're overshadowing the hype for that. And I don't think you're
I
going to
think
do
you
that.
are.
Oh man,
100%.
I think it's totally. It's been 3 years since the game launched.
I mean, granted, you're playing with a
15?
nostalgic
Yeah.
group over a new set, which could, I mean, but you're going to have overlap, and they're going to.
I definitely think 16 is possible. I'm not going to go in that camp with you though.
Now, people will be excited. Don't get me wrong; they'll love it.
Yeah.
Right now, the way
it's
you're
totally
at.
not a like. It's coming out next year. It is a. We got it working here,
It's
you know.
If it's in the works, okay, I can definitely see them saying
it's
that.
their mic drop at the end of the
I
conference.
think the
that's not
showrunner. A mic drop, okay. With a mic drop, it's hard to say no.
Yeah.
I don't think it's likely. I think your big showrunners this time are Final Fantasy VII, Project Avengers,
Yeah.
and then Shadowbringers.
Once again, 16 is not meant to be like I'm going to showcase the entire game. It is how they announce every single Final Fantasy, which is here's a 3-minute trailer and enjoy.
Short
The
clips,
mic-
the short clips of cutscenes here and there.
Yeah,
and that's
Sorry,
it.
the
Yeah,
mic
yeah.
drop is gonna I mean, I think you're gonna get that in the beginning, and I think the mic drop is gonna be the release date of 7.
It could be. We'll see.
That seems
Who
more
made
plausible.
Legends
What was
of
it?
Dragoon?
That's what Bethesda did last year with the next
Sony.
Elder Scroll games.
That's,
Yeah.
They were going to partner with Square Enix. That's the mic drop.
It's just like,
New
well,
Legends
yeah,
of
that's
Dragoon.
Bethesda.
I can only dream.
They screw up a lot of stuff with their stuff.
But
Well, yeah.
I think they have a lot to say, as you can tell.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be pretty powerful. And I think you're gonna see a lot of, like, Xbox obviously has a much larger slot, but I still think you're gonna see a lot of Nintendo coming onto the Xbox stage to talk about and collaborate with talking about certain cloud
Yeah.
projects.
Maybe
Maybe.
hit us up. Right in the
VR.
feels. Oh,
Whoa, you're about to be disappointed.
Nobody's really touched about VR, and I get that VR has not been the hot topic for a while, but if PlayStation's starting to talk about doing the wireless VR, you know, Oculus is going to have to jump on it. So is HTC. I'm just saying we're not going to see a major showcase for it, but it's probably going to show up on their booth.
okay, interesting.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you're expecting a new prototype at E3.
I don't necessarily going to. Well, yeah, actually, you know what? Yeah, I'll jump on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
New
I was about to
prototype.
say, I was like, just step
Like,
the foot out.
they-
Put your
they-
foot out
they-
on it.
they
Step on that
can't-
monkey.
They can't. They can't.
Step
him
on that
squeal.
monkey.
They can't. Please no. They can talk about it probably all they want until they're blue in the face, but unless they have a working prototype that will beat out Sony, since Sony might have one coming up if they're trying to do it.
Okay, so me and
Or-
Brent
or
had this
Valve show-
discussion, and it was going to be one of my predictions with the next state of play was, hey, by the way, you know, with PS5, we're going to have an updated VR.
Yeah.
It's wireless. This is exactly everything you want with the VR.
Well, but the
And
other
then they're
thing
like,
too
by
is,
the way, nothing's happening.
but the other
and
thing
don't
too is
expect
with,
anything.
with Steam coming out with one, they might have to.
Yeah, I don't disagree at all.
They've
We'll
got
find out.
competition.
I think
on-
it'd be the smarter play. I think they're dumb for not capitalizing on that, but I could also see why they would do it initially, and then 6 months later down the road to boost sales again to come out with another VR console.
Yeah,
and
I mean,
also
like,
not scare
with
other
the- with
people who
the-
already have it.
with the new competitors stepping on the market, Oculus and HTC have to step up their stuff.
They need to lower their price. That's what they need to do.
But like the next steps would be wireless, truly wireless, everything.
Like the Quest.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
Steam just released theirs, which, by the way, it actually got me excited.
I know it's not released.
Announced. I'm sorry.
no.
Well, technically, I watched the unboxing.
Yeah, it's
so
just-
it is available, but just not to us.
Yeah, but it's not a consumer product yet because consumers can't have it.
But looking at the innovation that they're doing with controllers alone is just got me excited. And seeing the wireless stuff come out is definitely top on my list.
Oh
As soon
yeah,
as that
I mean
happens,
that's
I'm
the
on
next
board.
that's the
Whole
next
haptic gloves.
step with it, especially like if they start going the way of like smartphones have with batteries. Batteries have gotten smaller but carry tremendously more power. Now, the nice thing is the control units, the headsets, whatever it is, take tremendously less power. That headset's a little bit different, but there's more room to put a bigger battery pack in there, that kind of thing, you can actually get like a decent number of hours out of play.
I mean, if you're talking about with the current technology, if you have a battery that survives 3 hours, you're solid.
Dude, I'd be totally okay with an external battery that charges that you could hook onto
Like a
your
drill.
belt right behind you.
But it's
then just plugs one small wire or whatever into the headset.
So the only reason I don't think they would go with that is because normal users, like not us, would still look at that and say, it's still got wires.
Well, I could totally look at them though, and
I think they're
Show
going to
them
go
the difference.
But,
I want that one.
But what I'm saying is like it's not that they won't try for that. It's not that they will try for that. It's the fact that they'll look at that and say normal consumers aren't going to look at that and say that's acceptable.
But I could totally see a world in which instead of having a battery pack external like that, where it is, you take the headset off, you're like, cool, I need to charge it, and you pop the battery off like you do a power drill, pop it in a dock.
That's possible.
and
I
then
see
you
that.
put
I'm worried about the weight of the headset though. And on top of that, I mean, when you do something
but
like
if you-
that, if anything happens to those connection points for the battery, it's dead.
I mean,
But if you
for any-
counterweight
But with an
it on
external
the
power source with a USB or something, it's a lot more stable.
but if you counterweight it
Yeah.
on the backside, if you put the battery pack on the backside of the head and counterweight the front end of your head,
So when it
that actually
explodes, it
almost-
goes forward into your skull.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly.
there you go.
Yeah.
but the other point too is charging capabilities have gotten tremendously better.
Yep.
Can you
Like-
imagine wireless charging with it? You literally just set it down on the charger. Boop.
Yeah, but then you end up
Great.
with like 50% charge after like 30 minutes. Mm-hmm. Like then that's a totally
That
possible
would be
thing.
annoyance.
I agree.
So I think VR tech is going to get much better.
Okay.
I think VR, like true wireless, is going to show up from the other companies, Oculus and
I'm excited.
even HTC.
I'm excited.
If nothing else, Oculus, because they're kind of the market leader at this point.
Yeah.
So
Well, not in sales.
Yeah.
not in sales.
But
with
in
that,
mind
PS-
share.
PSVR.
PSVR still beats HTC and Oculus
Combined.
But if
Yeah.
Sony's not going to be there, it doesn't matter anyway.
Correct.
It's a moot
Yes.
point.
Mind share.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we're gonna see a state of play. I'm sorry. I know it's
Not
got
during
picture.
E3.
You're gonna see it here, folks.
I can tear it out.
State of play is coming, and they're gonna slap their dong right in their face.
It's going to be the week after E3.
It's gonna be
they're
Death
going to go,
Stranding.
here's...
Technically, you could say dick. That's
No.
okay. It's no
They're
big
gonna
deal.
show another Death
I
Stranding.
hope
it's going to
Sony.
be The Last of Us Part
I'm sorry,
2
the
and
last one.
Ghost of
I didn't mean to
Tsushima.
say Death Stranding.
Yeah.
I apologize.
If
Wow.
Sony wants to do the big ballsy move, they say, "Hey, state of play coming during this time slot," and it's the Microsoft conference.
No, I don't.
No.
It's
I
not
just say
ballsy enough.
They don't want to do that, and,
that-
and that's what I was
is
talking
that
about.
your
with
prediction
Brent.
for State of
It's
Play?
not about a competition of. It's literally just trying to join on their terms. That's why they did the state of play. It wasn't just to be a jerk. It was to say we're constantly letting you down. When we want to release it, we want to release it on our terms, not your expectations, which you're constantly disappointed with.
The problem right now, though, is that with E3, they backed out and everyone filled in that time slot. So there is no space for them to release it in right now.
Well, there's the right before and the right after, and they're not doing something all the time. They could release a state of play at 9 a.m. if they wanted to.
You're absolutely right, but the difference would be of like viewership is that people aren't going to be paying attention because they're paying attention to all the E3 coverage.
State of play gets released, people are paying attention.
I'm telling you right now,
but
they're
that-
not going
but
to
see,
get
I-
nearly the same level of coverage as if they were to do it the week after.
But see, I think that's
That's
where
the whole point.
I think that's
I-
where they release it Tuesday morning.
So Tuesday morning is Nintendo's conference.
Oh, I thought it extended to. I thought that was Monday.
No, Nintendo's always Tuesday morning.
Yep.
And then after that is when everyone goes out on the floor and they do all their previews for the week. And so that's through Friday. So you can release it during that preview period, of course, but you're like on the tail end of all the excitement of all the other conferences. You give it a week to breathe. There's
But that
plenty of
doesn't
space.
negate it. And if it's about The Last of Us, I don't think it really matters. It's just going to be a freaking big deal, and it's going to be during a time where there's a lot of big deal stuff going on.
I just don't think it'd be smart because you're going to be completely overwritten by everything else. Especially if Xbox comes
It
out.
depends on what. Again,
If
and with the
Xbox
state of
comes
play,
out-
they can decide not to do anything, and they're like, "Nope, that's too big for us right now."
If Xbox comes out and goes like, "Hey, here's our new console. Here's the xCloud," there's no market fucking way that they're going to release a state of play.
You know,
in
they're
the
going to
week.
spend a half hour to an hour talking about xCloud.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't. There's no time period from now until then that I think Sony would feel comfortable doing it. Not only that, they usually market their state of play at least 3 days ahead.
Sure.
All right, fair enough. I still think we're consistent.
Well, you're up for your prediction.
Yeah, sorry.
Cheers yourself.
It was actually like a checkmate maneuver because we're playing
That's not
chess. but-
checkmate. That's not checkmate. I
Cheers,
still.
cheers.
This is the year of unprecedented incredibleness. Okay, anything is
Your
possible.
dreams?
Huh?
Your dreams?
You mean Dreams that still hasn't come out yet? And has come
Dreams
out
is
for
technically out. You can purchase
beta.
it. It's the creator program.
Oh.
There's some cool stuff in there. There's
I've seen some content.
It is your turn. We have to.
Oh,
do the
I
prediction.
thought we already did 3.
No.
Nope,
You have one more.
That was my third. Your third
Yeah,
now.
we're talking a lot.
Oh man, I already talked about 3. I just talked about 3. Yeah,
He
we're
did
done
he
three.
did 2 in the
All
beginning.
right,
So
yeah.
we'll jump to me. I'm gonna do a quick little buzz point because some of these aren't that exciting.
That's fine. I'm
My
going to
opinion.
do the same when
So
you're
we've
done.
got EA. I think EA is going to drop more news on Apex Legends Future Season Pass. I think they're going to really ride that hype wave, and I think they're going to try to put some bandages on their failures of the Anthem Cataclysm events. I think they're going to like say, hey, this is some cool new stuff we got coming from Anthem. You know, showcase this feature. I think they should avoid it like the plague, but
Yeah.
EA,
They're
is not smart to me. They're going to just...
They gotta fix it first.
They already released their schedule
Yeah,
of
yeah.
what they're doing.
Battlefield
and Anthem's not in
5
there
is
at
on
all.
the list.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see. I didn't
Yeah,
see the
so they
schedule.
released
Why is Battlefield 5 on the list? Like, Battlefield 5 disappeared into the mist. It should have just stayed there.
Yeah.
Sims 4 is on the list. Let's talk about games that don't fucking matter. Like, they
Mark it.
They actually released the thing. Everyone's like, "Oh, Anthem's not on there." And then Casey Hudson, the studio lead, was like, "We're gonna do our own live stream tomorrow to talk about Cataclysm," and then it bombed. Nobody
Huge-
paid attention to it
Yeah,
all.
Cataclysm's huge failure. Microsoft, so I just want to hit on some things. I think they're going to do the obvious. They're going to talk about Gears of War, and I think we're going to get Halo Infinite stuff. But I think Halo Infinite is going to be announced with integration, again, riding the hype train with Stadia.
Yep.
I think they're going to go in on that.
Sure, you mean Stadia, not xCloud.
Yes.
I think Stadia is where it's at. I think xCloud will be a part of Stadia. I think they're going to partner up.
What is this?
Yeah.
That is like your biggest mic drop prediction, and you're like hiding it in a quick little.
Because I think Stadia is just going to partner with everyone, so it should just be expected.
All right.
Xbox
and
just wants it to get played and wants it to be bought.
Exactly, and Xbox is they're changing up their file types when they upload games. So like Steam can host it, Epic can host it if they want to. They're just like, hey, if you can host a game, put it on there. If you want to develop a game, you can have it up there. We're going to support it. And I think they're going to all in, man. They're not going to limit
This
themselves to
negates
not
game.
Stadia.
I
Yes.
can't jump on the hype train if they're talking about xCloud with Sony.
The problem is like you can
But
buy the
Sony,
game
I think
or you
Sony's
can play
also
going to
go.
Pass.
Sony's going to do their own thing, but like the developers, I just think Microsoft is not going to limit it. If you're going to put it on
I
Steam,
think
you're going to put it on
Sony
Stadia.
has too much pride to really join Google on that.
Yes.
Which means that joining Xbox to them is like a major step in one direction.
that's-
I can't imagine they're going to take another step towards Stadia.
As soon as Stadia comes out and dominates with Ubisoft success and probably Square Enix success, and I'm going to argue
and for the
EA
love
success,
of God, Rockstar success.
and then the biggest success story that I think will
Rocksteady.
come with Stadia, which if I don't see this during a Stadia thing, I'll be surprisingly shocked, is when Stadia partners with Epic to expand Fortnite, the biggest game in the world.
God.
They're going to see that success, and Sony's going to want to get in on that. 'Cause,
Okay. All right. So
but
There's a lot going on here.
yeah, and then
I mean,
Really,
this
there's
is-
so much to unpack here. Like,
but then
Holy cow.
that's why I'm trying to get through fast because time. But
Okay,
then,
okay.
And then my Bethesda conference, they're gonna mic drop with Elder Scrolls 6. They're gonna finally announce the title, and then that's
I
it.
think-
We don't.
Over Starlink. Starlink's coming out before Elder Scrolls.
yeah.
No, yeah,
Way before.
Elder Scrolls is your mic drop. You give it a title. You gave the trailer. It got massive hype. No one has a title for it.
They're like
You-
5 years out.
That's fine. You're gonna give it a title so people know what universe
that's
you're
okay.
going
They're,
into.
they're one
and
less
what to
year out than
expect.
they did last year whenever they announced Elder Scrolls
You
5.
got it.
Like,
You're
that
gonna-
was just to save ass.
You're gonna, you're
to
gonna
say,
keep
yes,
Elder Scrolls
Skyrim is
fresh
not
in
the end all
mind.
be all.
Okay. Bethesda's going to talk about Fallout 76 and how terrible the launch was, how they're going to make it better. They're going to talk about Starlink, completely negate Elder Scrolls whatsoever. They're not going to talk about it at all. Maybe touch on
I
Blades.
think maybe say, hey,
Yeah.
we're working on it. At best.
Ubisoft is going to not talk about Assassin's Creed at all, going to talk about the new Watch Dogs. They're going to announce a new collaboration with Nintendo, which will come in the form of Mario plus Rabbids 2. I believe that will happen for sure. And then they're going to really hammer home on Beyond Good and Evil. Aside from Xbox talking about their console and Halo, I do believe there's a good chance that they announce a reimagining of Fable coming from the developers of Forza,
Lion-
Playground Games.
Oh,
Interesting.
Is Liongate not there anymore?
Liongate, yeah, Lion, they're somewhere else, yeah.
Okay.
Lionhead Studio.
I thought that dude was still
I was,
doing something.
you said
Guillermo
Lionsgate.
is
I
something
was
else,
like,
yeah.
movie studios getting
He's part of 22
Saw
cans.
level.
His own little thing.
Fable.
I've already talked about Square Enix, Ubisoft. Yeah, I think that's kind of that. And then Nintendo will not discuss, other than maybe a quick glimpse, anything about Sword and Shield, because we talked about tomorrow.
Yeah, I agree. They're definitely going to narrow that down.
Also, I want to slide it in there. Halo movie, Microsoft conference.
Yes, I do think that you are going to see a Halo movie coming.
No. Halo TV show. They've already announced it with stars, all that's happening, so they'll probably slide that in there.
Yeah, I thought-
Man, I
yeah.
wanted a movie. I don't want a
TV show?
TV show and stars,
Yep.
yeah.
But it should be okay.
Past like Forward Unto Dawn, which
Who
already
knows,
happened.
man?
Like,
Who
come
knows,
on.
man?
No,
Come on.
is it going to be
Forward Unto-
animated or is it going to be live action?
I don't know.
Like, if anything, okay, after Forward Unto Dawn, it's
You
probably
forgot
going to
about the
be
most
live
important
action.
one, dude.
What?
Microsoft is going to open the show with their new shampoo and conditioning line.
Oh, you're right.
I can't believe this
How
is
can
real.
we forget this?
Because it's forgettable.
I really do hope they just have like the geekiest nerdy gamer dude with like super
Major
long
Nelson
hair,
in the shower, bro.
and then all of a sudden a fan hits him and it just starts flowing.
So I do want to preface this. This is real.
This is real. This is not a
This
joke.
is an actual thing.
This is disgusting. I want to know, their advertises as smell like a gamer. What does that mean? Pizza and shame?
we need to move forward. We need to move forward. Do you have
Pizza
any more quick
masturbation?
hits?
Yeah, I want to touch base on what this man just laid out a
No,
little
we
bit.
can't do
Just
that.
a little bit.
No.
I want to. I
You
think
like
that
how
you
I'm
might
like
drop
dropping
gotta
one
quick
more
hit.
time?
You got a quick hit.
Quick hit. Come on.
Do you have a quick
One-liners.
hit?
Brent's a dick.
All right, there you go.
We're right now. That is, of course, our predictions for E3. Feel free to tally them up in the
I'm pretty
comments
sure
below.
I got 1 point.
If you would
yeah, he admitted. He admitted. You heard it here.
Yeah.
It's a new day. As well as tell us what your own predictions are. We would love to hear the comments above us. They move. It's like if you do a barrel roll.
Hold on a
it's fine.
second.
Below.
I actually have a. They said that there wasn't going to be any new PSVR for the PlayStation 5 release, right?
Correct, yeah.
Does that mean that they talked about the PlayStation 5 again
If
before
you
the end of the
if
year?
you want to count that as it, that's fine. I was thinking conference is what we were talking about, where they actually sit there and talk
Oh,
about
no,
it.
we said mention, did we not?
That's
I,
fine.
I want to go back. I
I
want to go
will-
back to the official
No.
language.
We can, if you want to
I'll
go
go back
with
to the
mention.
language and I'll let you know
Fine.
whether you're right or wrong.
Mark, I'm going to need a video
You've got
edited
access-
review right here.
No, you've got access to the videos. You can do it.
Yeah.
I'm not cycling back to. I've watched these videos at least 2 times over each. I'm not doing it again.
Feel free to go look. If you want to win off of that, that's fine with me.
Oh, look at
So,
you whiny lizard.
Let us know. Let us know. Mark it on him. Let us know what your E3 predictions are as well, because we are very curious about them. But of course, I think it's time for last call.
Last call!
You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. Before I dive into our actual shoutouts,
What is last call? Might as well type in that.
what? What was the last call? What?
Never mind.
I'm super confused. Okay, that's fine.
Awkward.
It's where we wrap everything up. That's why it's last call.
It's where you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here.
Yeah, thank you. There we go. Mr. Tumbleweed here wanted to take over some of the shout outs before I dive into mine.
So I think the biggest shout out I want to give is Dylan just put together the Strange monthly update, and a part of that big announcement was we partnered with a new streamer. His name is Resilience. He's a fantastic streamer. He does a lot of Realm, Apex Legends, pretty much a BR guy. He's starting to get into YouTube content, I think is what he's going to go into. But streaming's his major thing right now. Super good guy, super cool father. So, Mark, if you can put in the work for it up here somewhere, just put a link to his stream in a box somewhere.
In the description below.
Or in the description below, whatever. I think a box would be
I thought you
super
were being
cool.
Brent for a second.
No. I'll link a little, whatever those things are called.
Yeah, in the description right over here. I'm with you,
And
Kepley.
an info card right up
Yeah,
top
an info
there.
card. Just click that, go in, shoot the guy a follow, check him out sometime. He's super cool. So he's doing great things.
Was that it?
I mean, I could probably do more. Crystal's been on a super great roll
Yep.
streaming lately.
Season two.
She's been killing it.
Oh,
Yeah, so I think Crystal is really revving up some good stuff. You see a lot of good stuff coming out of her.
Queen Crystal.
Yeah, Queen Crystal. Who else do we have, man? Xphobia.
yeah.
Xphobia's still doing good things.
Yeah, the guy who's freaking streaming all the time.
all the time, dude. Dude doesn't take a break.
No, he doesn't.
He really doesn't.
And
Thug
then-
Nasty?
Yeah,
Thug Nasty.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Thug
We got a
Nasty,
little
yeah.
streamers, so you can
Yeah,
definitely
man, we're
jump
definitely
on it.
growing.
Yeah.
So
Of course, also we have our Discord, so feel free to hop in and have a conversation with us. We have a link in the description.
I'm going to step back to the streamers for a second. How could you not plug yourself?
well, I've been kind of slack in streaming lately, but
Because you've been spending a lot of time on the show. I know.
exactly. I am plotting for the YouTube return. So my thing with streaming is right now in the time slots I could stream, I feel like I'm kind of competing with Crystal, which I don't want to do.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of stepping back from streaming for a little bit, figure that out. But YouTube is coming.
Well, we are definitely going to have you on the next episode as well to go over our E3 and how it all
Absolutely.
went.
And how Brent was wrong and I was right.
Of course, we have our boy B Scotch and Dots, who is currently in the middle of streaming the remastered Dark Souls. He's probably on right now. I don't know when you're watching this, but he's probably on right now.
Yeah, actually, I think he is.
Also, my #1 Twitch viewer, I think. He's like always in there talking. His stream's super awesome. I don't know if you guys got to check him out.
Oh, yeah.
If you care about Dark Souls, dude, he knows so much about it.
I've been
way
watching
more
him quite a
than
bit
we should.
lately.
Yeah,
We've been
it's
playing
wild.
Dark Souls, talking to Civ, hanging out, having a good time.
Yeah, man.
And speaking of streaming, there's a brand new Humble Bundle that you can get a bunch of technology for your PC to help with your streams. So this is camera work, mic, of course, also working on graphics, other things. Once again, we'll have a link in the description. Humble tends to send out a wonderful plethora of different bundles, and this one I thought was apropos.
I'm intrigued.
Let's check that out. Yeah.
Moving on to the question of the week. I thought this one was a little interesting, especially since we don't always get the Kepster on the show. What is the worst interview experience you've ever had? I can start.
I will start.
We here in the Carolinas, specifically in the Charlotte region, have a wonderful company known as Red Ventures. Red Ventures has made itself under the tagline, the Google of the South. So coming out of college...
Really?
Yeah, have you not heard this? Yeah.
No.
They tried, yeah.
They're trying real hard.
So
I
coming
like
out
that,
of college, they were looking for junior positions for developers. And I was like, you know what? I'll throw my hat in there. I have no idea if I'm going to get it or not. But I had done a couple internships at Bank of America, yada, yada, yada. So have a couple of great phone interviews, including one technical. And I was like, oh, this is going really well. They're like, just got to come in for one last interview. It's going to be all day. So you got to be here at 10 a.m. You're going to be here at about 4. And I was like, okay, cool. So went in. First, it's multiple groups of people. They put you in a conference room and they rotate out. You stay in this conference room. So I was like, okay. So I go in the conference room. First set of individuals, perfect. It's a lot of talking, not technical at all. I'm like, this is great. Having a good time. Everyone's hyped. They're like, yeah, we really like it. I'm like, oh, this is wonderful. They rotate out. 2 developers come in and they give me a whiteboard problem. And the whiteboard problem is
I hate whiteboarding.
is essentially like if you were to take Google iPage, right? Is that what it was? The Google whatever My Page, iPage. It's an old Google thing where you could set up your own homepage and put widgets in it and stuff.
Oh, right. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was...
It doesn't matter what the name was, yeah. So they're like, if you were to design that, how would you store that information? And I was like, well, you could probably just throw that information into a table, tie it to a user ID. You can always do XML. And they're like, yeah, both of those sound really good. What else?
What do you mean, what else?
You could throw it into a database that you make
they're
yourself
like-
and just have fun with it.
They're like, yeah, there's another way. And I'm like, like for 5 minutes just straight. I was like, I don't really understand what you're looking for. Just
It's an
floundering.
open-ended question.
And they're just sitting there staring with their death eyes. And so that portion of the interview ends, and 2 guys come and take me to lunch. And like, how'd it go? And I was like, I have no idea. I did not get the job. Is what it came down to.
Okay.
So that was my wonderful interview experience.
Honestly, I think you lucked out.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to give mine. I'll wait till you guys are finished, and I'll give another one anyway from a friend of ours.
Yeah.
Anyway, mine, ironically from previous employer of ours collectively.
Wonderful.
So this was starting out before I had any experience as a developer, period. That kind of thing, like formal experience as a developer. I had started out, and the first position I got asked to interview for was a senior position. A senior Java developer position.
What?
To be fair, the person that actually got the job as opposed to me got fired.
Oh, yeah.
So
I think I know
my
this is.
interview with this was like, so what experience do you have? Well, what formal experience do you have with, Java development? Well, I don't really have any. Like I've done most of mine on my own. I do this, like Android development. I do backend development with Java. I do like small applications. That the kind of thing I did it back in college. Yeah, well, sorry, we're looking for, senior experience. Sorry about that. Okay, bye.
Wow.
Like that quick. Not like they didn't give me a chance to respond. So I was like, oh, okay, all right, bye.
Wow, that's incredible. You have to tell me who that was.
It was quite literally sub 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I don't know who it was. Is the worst part.
Dang.
Like after joining as a junior, I don't know who it was.
Did you even deserve that job, Mark?
It'd be pretty incredible if it was
Inside
actually
joke.
our current boss. That would make
Probably.
me laugh a lot.
Problem. I don't know. So I asked him. I literally asked him about that
Yeah,
today.
yeah.
He said no. I don't remember doing an interview like
Okay,
that. So
okay.
But I found it funny that they decided they were going to go with somebody else over me, but they fired that person
after hiring you on.
Right.
Yeah, that's awesome. How about you, John?
Honestly, I only had a couple of jobs like throughout high school, and I've been with the same job for like 10, 15 years.
Dude, in high school, you worked 3 jobs at once.
No, 5.
So,
Okay,
What?
fine.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't awkward. Maybe it was a little awkward. I don't know. You ever have those guys that like to touch you?
no, what?
No, what?
The touchy-feely guys. Like, I've got really friendly with you. I feel like we're close. I'm just trying to touch you. Yeah, this guy. Okay, we're at a coffee shop.
I require
This is
$50 an hour.
different. This is consensual.
Yeah, right. It's always consensual on the show. So I'm at the coffee house, right? This guy, he's like, he tries to, at first he's a fairly larger man, so he's already got kind of an encompassing like feel to him. So you just feel like, okay, you're a big dude. Well, he comes up and he just sits like right next to me, like super close, and I'm like, there's a whole table here. There ain't no reason why you got to be right next to me. But I was like, I really want this job right now because I just need to fill in time. And then he comes up to me and goes, hey man, and then he grabs my hand. He's like, yeah. How's everything going? I'm just like, okay, this is getting a little weird. So I scooted over and he got the hint and he like backed off a little bit. And I was like, it was awkward. Everything else was completely normal, but that is by far the closest thing to.
First impression was just bad.
Yeah. Well, and not to mention, I got in trouble at that same job for sexual harassment because she threw whipped cream on me.
I was about to, what?
And she didn't want to get in trouble, so she blamed it on me and then claimed sexual harassment. And he looked over the videos, goes, "No, that doesn't make any sense." But he was like, "I'm gonna have to let you go anyway. I don't want to get sued."
I thought he was going to say, but I'd like to throw a whipped cream at you.
If he did, I probably would have been like, "No, thank you." Bye.
All right, Tumbleweed.
Yeah, man, come on.
I haven't really. I haven't really had any bad interviews. I had one, but it was my fault, so I can't blame him.
You can talk about that too.
So probably my worst interview was for one of my favorite jobs, which was GameStop. When I was working there for my first job,
Okay.
It was technically my second job, but I don't count my first job as my first job because my mom got it for me.
Yeah.
So it was like that was at a restaurant. So it's like, cool, I'm gonna earn my first job, and it was a GameStop, and just the hurdles I had to go through and like prove that I wanted it were obnoxious, and like at like hindsight 2020, the hours I got and like how little I worked. I mean, I wouldn't take the experiences back for anything. It was some of my favorite moments throughout my whole life is working there. But the interview itself, it was like brand new store opening in our hometown. So like I'm gonna open this store. I'm there for like day one. They're interviewing people. They've got their 4 like crew people in there, and I talked to the manager. Me and the manager go back and forth. It was super convenient because he was a huge nerd and played World of Warcraft. I also played World of Warcraft. So like interview, we're talking for like 30 minutes about it. But and I find this out later because like me and him are super close now. He didn't want to hire me, so he was trying to find ways to get rid of me because he didn't think I knew enough, but he really liked that I played WoW.
Yeah.
So he would set these ridiculous obstacles for me to go through, and so he managed a couple stores at the time, and so one of the stores he managed was about an hour away from my house.
Yeah.
And he would set it at the most obnoxious times, and I would always make the time, and I would be there early, and then I would like find him when he tried to avoid me, and I would still get my interview, and I would still talk, and I had to do this like 6 times over the course of like 3 months. And I finally came I was always calling, I was always showing up to the store talking to him, and then I finally showed up one day and I was talking to him and said, "Hey man, like we've been talking for a while, where am I at on this job? I really want to work here." And he was finally just like, Mark, you don't have my name on there, but get ready to mark it. He was like, "Holy shit, like I will hire you, just like please next time you come here at least get paid for it."
Yeah.
And so I start there. It begins my like 3-year-long journey where I made some of the closest friends I've ever had. And he was just like, "I can't believe it took me so long to hire you." And we created so many great memories together.
That's awesome.
But like the whole interview process was just like, and he told me like years later after we both stopped working there, he was like, "Honestly, man, like it's crazy because I did not want to hire you, but you are so persistent and you just would not go away."
So I want you the next time you talk to him, just tell him like, "Hey, confrontation's okay. Sometimes you can just say no."
Well, he's a super nice guy. Like,
Yeah.
he was the kind of manager that like I knew I kind of wanted to work for because one of my favorite experiences with him was my mom is like, she comes to the GameStop and she's looking for something for my little brother. And this is right before I started working there. And they didn't have it, but they had one in Winston, and he had like just recently broke his leg or something.
Yeah.
And she wanted it so bad, and he was just like, cool, if you can come back in like 2 hours. So he like hobbled in crutches, got in his car, drove an hour to Winston, went to another store, picked it up, drove back.
Oh,
and
wow.
got it for her. And he's just like, he was a super cool guy. I mean, he had a lot of things that weren't cool that he did, but whatever. But he
skimming from the register. It's not that big a deal.
Yeah, but he, super great guy.
Game Bio Club.
But my worst interview, that's like my worst experience.
Yeah,
My worst interview that I deserved was for Best Buy.
I think you only get one story.
That's fine. I'm gonna do two. I'm a guest here.
You better be quick.
That's fine. I showed up for the
one
interview.
more to do about a friend of ours.
I showed up for the interview. I was in like a t-shirt and jeans for some reason. I was like, it's Best Buy. I'm working at GameStop. It's to be super casual. Dude comes up to me, looks me up and down. He says, "You gonna interview in that?" And I said, "Yeah, I guess so." And he said, "Well, it's gonna be quick. Sit down."
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Snap.
All right. Yeah. That was quick.
So, friend of ours, actually, Brent, I don't know if you've met him yet.
We'll talk after the show, yeah.
Kelly.
I like Kelly. Good.
Kelly had an interview with Red Ventures. Walks in, and one of the first things they start doing is a whiteboard session that you were talking about. And the question they asked him is, what is object-oriented programming, or OOP? For those of you who don't know,
If anybody
object-oriented
ever calls it
programming
OOP,
in
I swear
Java
to God.
is a very basic principle.
I'll do that at my interview with you.
And he blanked. Straight up, just
Oh, poor
like
Kelly.
in a whiteboard session, like just explaining it even, blanked.
Poor Kelly.
He did not get the job.
I can imagine. I can imagine. Let us know your own terrible interview stories in the comments above.
Below.
He's so good at this.
Below.
He's getting the timing right. Above. Ha ha ha. And of course,
I can just
make sure
mute
you
you out if I wanted to.
He has all the power.
let us know your own predictions for E3. If you are wondering where our special guest segment went, it'll probably disappear into the ether eventually. We are kind of reworking a few parts of this show. But we will continue to do the side videos. This week, we actually kind of had to scramble for E3, so we have a plethora of interesting previous alcohol. So until next time, cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. Woo.